Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Friday, August 16th, 2024, a date with 68 numerology. Get that by adding 8 plus 16 plus 20 plus 24, 68. And again, it's a reminder that COVID or coronavirus was coined in 1968, the year of years. So on this day, the headline, the U.S. is experiencing its largest summer COVID wave in at least 2 years. And notice the article. It may be time to dust off the face mask and air puffers. I don't know if they got this news out early yesterday in Portland, but I thought I was in the twilight zone because I'm here in my home city. And seemingly everybody was wearing a mask yesterday, and I thought, what in the world? They all still have their masks on in 2024 in the summer? So is China with air pollution? But anyhow, it goes on. It may be time to dust off the face masks and air purifiers. The U.S. is in the midst of a significant COVID-19 wave. Keep in mind it's the 16th of the month. 53 is the 16th prime number. Remember, the word COVID has a gematria of 53. And by the way, the World Health Organization putting out that monkeypox, global, however they put it, emergency alert, health alert. That was 53 weeks from them declaring the pandemic on March 11, 2020. Or excuse me, not 53 weeks, 53 months. That new abbreviation for it, MPX, has that 53, just like COVID's 53. So anyhow, we got that going on right now and apparently a COVID wave. The U.S. is in the midst of a significant COVID-19 wave. And let's not forget, we're one day after the Jesuit Order's birthday, too. And we all know about Event 201 and how important that number is to the Jesuits in their history and the current Jesuit Pope and Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum. But it goes on. The U.S. is in the midst of a significant COVID-19 wave, and when the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention updates its wastewater dashboard on Friday, that's today, experts expect it to confirm that viral activity levels are the highest they've been during a summer surge since the CDC began publicly tracking such data in January of 2022. As of August 3rd, God, all these texts I'm getting. That last text is just one of those spam texts that probably everybody's getting from fraudsters. As of August 3rd, the CDC's measure of national COVID viral activity in wastewater. Now, the August 3rd measurement date is interesting because, of course, that date can be written 3/8 like 38, and pandemic equals 38. As of August 3rd, the CDC's measure of national COVID viral activity in wastewater is at 9.01 and rising, just shy of the peak at 9.28 in July of 2022 before it started rising again in May. It was at 1.36. Currently, the COVID-19 wastewater viral activity level is very high nationally, with the highest levels in the western U.S. region, Dr. Jonathan Yoder, Deputy Director of the CDC's Wastewater Surveillance Program, said in an email. You know, I'm going to guess that if you broke down the U.S. population by coasts or regions, I'm guessing the West was the most susceptible to the propaganda because, again, they're the most tuned into NPR and Bill Gates. So the most jabbed, in all likelihood, are also the ones having the most health epidemics. Brings us back to safe and effective. This year's COVID-19 wave is coming earlier than last year, which occurred in late August, early September. Emergency room visits, hospitalizations, and deaths are also ticking up, although not to the same extent as infections, according to the CDC's COVID dashboard. As of the end of July, the CDC's dashboard shows about 4 are being hospitalized for COVID for every 100,000 people in a given area. Now, we know what 4 is related with, death. And if you went to the hospital in the time of the pandemic, there was a good chance you didn't come out. up from a low in May of about 1 COVID hospitalization for every 100,000 people, the lowest level since the pandemic began. The CDC's wastewater data closely aligns with what they're seeing at the nationwide wastewater scan network, too. This is a very significant surge. The levels are very high. They're the highest we've ever seen during a summer wave, said Dr. Marlene Wolf, an assistant professor of environmental health and public health at Emory University and a program director for wastewater scan. We're detecting SARS-CoV-2 in 100% of our samples across the country right now. Health officials no longer track the coronavirus as closely as they did during the public health emergency, and there are no longer reliable estimates of daily or weekly new infections in the U.S. Instead, the nation is largely relying on wastewater levels to follow numbers of new cases. And I got to admit, I mean, following this for all these years, the first time I've heard of them talking about wastewater as the determinant. So I don't know. I just find that suspicious in itself. All right, that's enough for reading the propaganda. But it's sad just how people are still tuned in, still obeying orders from the authorities. That's the programming, though, we all got from a young age, whether it came from the church, slave school, the television. But yeah, I don't know how this kind of crap has credibility in anyone's mind at this point. So yeah, just jumps out to me that, again, CNN's covering this on the 68 date numerology. That number's come up again and again. Again, it was 1968 that a lot of agendas went into motion. Coronavirus was coined. Fentanyl was approved by the FDA. 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. World Trade Center construction began. That man who became president graduated from Yale, Skull and Bones, George W. Bush. And don't forget, Skull and Bones has a lot to do with the hospitals in this nation. Of course, Johns Hopkins, which came out of Skull and Bones, Daniel Coit Gilman, the founder, they were the ones who ran all the numbers for the pandemic and also ran all the numbers for the simulation that was Event 201. Let's not forget what happened to Paul Walker, who was in the movie The Skulls that came out 201 days after his birthday. But, yeah, hopefully this isn't indicative of what's coming this fall and winter, which will take us into 2025, the year in They Live, where the cabal is supposed to have complete control over the world. And don't forget, They Live came out 201 days after Roddy Piper's birthday, and we all know what happened to him, R.I.P., just like Paul Walker. All right, we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker, and until next time.